Grüß euch, liebe Freunde von musikmachen.de. Der Robin hier mit Ben und Winston von Mumford Sons.
Wie geht's?
Sehr gut, danke.
Sehr gut. Ja.
Thanks for taking time, guys. Thanks for coming out, for having you here. Let's talk, before we talk about all these Mumford Sons stories and recordings and stuff, tell us a bit about your musical background. Maybe you first, Ben. What did you do before you came to the band Mumford Sons?
I was playing in a bunch of bands in London, kind of just, playing keyboards mostly and whatever I could find. Had a band for a little bit called Hot Rocket, but then I spent a lot more time kind of just backing up other people and recording. Had a little home studio in London where I produced a bunch of EPs for people. And
what kind of music was it?
it was a mixture of everything, literally anything that was happening in London that was unsigned, anything from like poppy stuff to indie rock and folk.
All right, so you...
that spectrum.
So you always had a connection to these folk sounds thing? Or?
As much as like the stuff that was more like pop, or... The thing was that a lot of the early stuff started... A lot of people's first songwriting starts with just a simple like guitar or piano.
Okay.
Like, I was kind of working with people as everyone was like just starting to get into writing music.
Okay.
It's like early days. It's like 18 years old, 19 years old. So I guess in a really broad sense, you could think of that as like sounding similar to folk music. But a lot of those people went on to do stuff that sounds nothing like folk music, and it wasn't folk music. It's a really badly used genre name that I think people misuse the word folk.
Okay.
maybe it's the original sense of the word.
Okay.
Because folk means people in German,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Volk.
Yeah, but I just asked the question because you meet so many people that have completely different backgrounds musically.
Yeah.
I mean, the music they listen to and they played before than the jobs or the band they play in right now. So that was the question.
What Ben's, I think, underplaying was that there was a time when all of us were playing in different bands around London, and Ben was like pretty much famous for being the guy who could make, like, if you had an idea of it, he could make that come true, and he could work with it. And he has worked with every sort of different type of songwriters and bands and brought the best out of them, and that's like absolutely one of his great talents. And like talking about genres is sort of pointless because he's done so many different things. Okay. But like whatever it is, he still does it. It's unbelievable, you know. The stuff he's still producing is some amazing. He wouldn't say it. He wouldn't say it because it'd be awkward. So I'll say it for him.
Smartest things ever said.
True though.
Did you learn playing the piano classically?
Originally.
Yeah.
Started playing when I was about 6 years old.
Okay.
Had a really intense Scottish old piano teacher for about 8 years. She was really intense. Used to hit me if I played anything wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally with a stick. She'd like hit my hands.
No, really?
No, seriously. Like I would like cry on my way out of lessons.
Oh God.
And then, to be fair, I was really young. I wouldn't cry now. I'm way too cool to cry. And then I met this guy Nick Etwell, who was like the exact, as far from her as possible. He was like in his mid-20s, a touring musician who was all about jazz.
Okay.
Kind of seemed like a bit of a big brother. Okay. And he turned up and was like, let me teach you jazz piano.
Yeah.
And so I left the woman.
Wait.
And went for the guy. and then he kind of helped me sort of learn, went into like all the Keith Jarrett stuff and then all the other classic sort of classic jazz. More like,
scales.
Thelonious Monk and all that worlds. And now Nick's on the road with us because he's also a trumpet player. And so he plays
he's in the
trumpet
solos.
He's in the brass section.
Okay, cool.
And he's now one of our best friends. And
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Winston, how about you? When did you stop playing the banjo and all this stuff?
Started playing banjo about 16, 17.
Okay. Played the guitar before?
Played guitar before. string stuff, basically, really shit everything else. And I'm not allowed to be better because I haven't got the opportunity to practice because everyone tells me to stop playing drums whenever I try and play drums.
So you
apparently it's annoying.
Well,
Deep down inside, yeah.
yeah, nice.
I'm trying to, next album, please. Yeah, string stuff basically. Not very many other dimensions to me, unfortunately.
Okay. So you had bands that you play guitar in, before as well.
Guitar, rock bands.
Right.
Actually, Ben and I were in a band together. We were backing up a girl called Alessi. And this was in the days, I think this band had started already. Or I can't remember, had it?
Kind of
overlapped a little bit.
Okay.
And Ben was playing keys, I was playing electric guitar. And we did a bunch of fezzies and gigs around London and stuff. That was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was quite a good little...
Cool.
It was quite challenging, I think, that one. I enjoyed the challenge, it was good.
Okay. So you always wanted to become professional musicians?
Professional's a
was
funny
the plan.
word,
Yeah,
but
in a
always
way that
wanted
you
to...
can live.
Always wanted to play music, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we always will, and it's a dream that we can do it full time, and and it pays its way. That's great.
Yeah.
I suppose it is kind of a dream to be able to continue to do that, but it's a difficult dream to cling on to because music industry is so fickle. But I suppose I'm a bit pessimistic, maybe. But yeah, absolutely, that's the dream. Rock and roll.
It's funny to hear that you guys that you tell me that you'll be pessimistic by this huge success you have inside your band.
Yeah, but it's,
I mean...
we got to work hard. We want to work hard. We'll make better records. And hopefully, we hope to.
So let's talk about the record. You started the band in 2007. Within 5 years, there was a huge success for you guys. You got a Grammy for the last album and stuff like that. Tell us a bit about the songwriting process because you've been so long on tour. Did you write some songs on tour as well and then record it in the studio, or how can I imagine the songwriting process of this band in general?
Yeah, we write a lot of Babel on tour. It's hard to know exactly when a song is written. It's never properly written until I don't think a song's ever nice.
Sorry.
I don't think a song's ever properly finished. In some ways, even when you record it, that's just a version of a song that you're in the middle of working on. So, yeah, it can get pretty pretentious talking about this stuff. I don't know, a lot of the songs we were on tour as a lot of the songs came around, and we used sound checks as an opportunity to throw ideas around and develop stuff. And we continue to do that, and we'll always do that, I guess.
But you didn't feel like being under pressure because of the success of the first album?
Not massively, no. No, it wasn't so much that. I think we still feel quite a long way off writing our best material.
Okay.
So we felt like a lot of pressure. I think we were quite, I don't know what the word would be, but pessimistic, or we didn't feel like we deserved, and we still don't. But off the back of Sign and More, it was really hard to handle kind of what had happened, and it felt like we hadn't even really started writing as a band yet, and now we feel like that again. But with Babel, we were really trying to push ourselves to do a much better record than Sign and More, and now with the next one, I think we'll really try and blow those two records out, just from our own taste, from what we think's good. And what the problem is, as Winston says, it's so fickle because what we think might be, what we might be aiming for might be a long way from what people in general think is good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think that happens to every band.
Yeah. How many songs did you have prepared before you went to the studio for Babel, for the album?
Well,
Do you remember how much there was?
Part of the mistake, because we went in... Well, not a mistake, but maybe something we won't do for the next one, is that we started recording this record before we'd finished writing it. Because we had probably I don't know, 8 or 9 tunes, and we were like, we've got enough to start, we might as well just get in the studio. And then we got to a point where we're like, fuck, we definitely don't have enough.
Right.
I think by the end of it,
what about
probably,
the 10 song game, by the way?
Yeah, that only like brought out like 1 or 2 songs. Turns out not that productive.
Can you explain that? I mean, what was going on?
It's a songwriting game thing that tries to push you to write loads of songs, and basically you get together with some other songwriters, and in this case the 4 of us, and we just went in one house, went to different rooms for the day and just wrote. The idea is to write 20 songs in a day, but we were like, well, that's not going to happen, so let's try and write 10 songs in a day. I think you were the only one who wrote 10, right? Or was it Ted?
I didn't write. I don't think any of us finished that.
Ted just wrote loads of songs about murdering people. Yeah, a little bit close to the bone, I felt. Excuse the pun. Yeah, it was good. But otherwise, a couple of tunes came out. Where Are You Now came out of that.
I would recommend that game.
It's a good way to flush out.
I've never heard of it before. Who had the idea for that?
It's from a book, I think, some songwriting book. The problem, I think, you've really got to, like, you can't... I went in and I was like, right, well, I've got loads of ideas. And that was my first mistake, because I thought, well, you know, you've got to really just be completely fresh. Like, no idea, just like da-da-da-da-da. And the idea is, 20 songs in a day, the idea is basically you haven't got time to question yourself. You just write the song, don't question it. You've got half an hour to write a song, basically, and then you've got to write another one and another one and another one.
And record it.
And it might not mean that you have like any one good song, but you may be like, oh, there'll be a good chorus there, verse there, much that verse there, and then you could probably piece together a few songs, which is, I think, a perfectly acceptable way of writing songs. A lot of the songs that we write are like so you write a song and then like most of it's shit, but the chorus is good, and you keep the chorus and you use that again because you like the sentiment, and then you rework it. I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many ways to write a song. It's quite a fun thing to explore, whether it's a 10-song game. So, you know, you can write 10 songs in a day, but you could also take 10 years to write one song. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. So how many songs
were... song itself.
There you go.
Yeah.
We should write a song about songwriting. There you go.
So how many songs were in the end done with this 10-song game that was really on the album in the end? Was there a song?
One or two.
One or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was good. Okay. Yeah, let's talk a bit about the recording process. I mean, what kind of equipment did you use? You just told me before that you play your setup for 5 years right now. When you go into the studio, do you try out something new?
Yeah, that's just for
stuff?
live. Just for live. I've used the same keyboard setup live since the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, in the studio we try and get the best quality sound out of the original sounding instruments. So whatever it might be, we will try and get as much separation. Even when we're recording live, we'll do it in like isolated booths and try and get the best full spectrum of sound out of a banjo, a piano, and a double bass. We'll get everything from like the scratches on the neck to the low sub bass, or you know, it was big sessions. Like the mixing job, probably over 100 tracks of actual like audio that go into sometimes even just a handful of instruments and a handful of vocals. But that's just all the different sort of audio like feeds, sources that we're taking from.
Did you record, how many songs did you record live, playing all together?
I think we did like 4 maybe.
Right now, Better Kasim, Not With Haste.
Yeah, and the beginning of Lover's Eyes.
Love's Eyes. I'm sure there was another couple, I can't remember.
There wasn't there? Oh, we did Babel, the bits, the instrumental bits of Babel we did live, and then the vocal bits we did to try. It was, so like it's tricky for us to answer this because we didn't really mastermind the process. Like we worked together with Robin Bainson and Marcus Draves. Marcus Draves, the producer, who's obviously done a lot of great work and
did the first record as well, right?
Did our first record, did a great Maccabees record. Did a great Bjork record and Coldplay and Arcade Fire. You know, we've got a lot of respect for him, and like I think what he brings to the table is he's got this like map. He's got this mind map of how to make a record, and he'll be like, even though we sometimes will get lost in the song or the process, or like just won't quite all be on the same page one day, he'll be like, he'll know where he's going, even though it might not be clear the route that he's taking. Which makes him a fantastic producer.
Okay.
And he's probably the person to give a call if you want the answers to these specific questions. We can only tell you what we observed, but we can't tell you what the process was behind his.
Okay, but it's interesting to hear. I mean, you know, it's not a typical way to band nowadays to record live in studio.
No.
So that's why I asked the question to, you know, how did you handle the situation?
Yeah,
in the
we're
studio?
live bands. Like
Yeah.
we consider ourselves a live band. We spend most of our time playing gigs, and I think if we, you know, we didn't do it all live because I think we wanted to challenge ourselves to do stuff that was beyond what we're even capable of doing in one take. But for the stuff that has like the, you know, the feel to it, no amount of like metronome or like computer like mapping will be as good as just sitting in a room and playing the song together and trying to capture that. So that was good that we couldn't have done that on Sign No More. We weren't ready as musicians, and because we had played probably 300, 400 gigs between Sign No More and starting to record Babel, I think we developed, evolved as a band.
All right, thanks guys for coming, and then we can check out your gear later on stage.
Yeah.
Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Erstmal, das waren Winston und Ben von Mumford Sons, und wir gucken uns gleich mal das Live-Rig an.
So